Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today we are going to talk about the rematch between Gennady Golovkin and Saul Canelo Alvarez, which is going down this Saturday, somewhere in Vegas. I don't know the exact location. I'm not going to be there because I'm going to be watching on TV. So, whatever. Anyway, of course, we know this is a highly anticipated rematch. They fought exactly a year ago to a draw, which would have been not as disputed if it wasn't for one of the scorecards. We're not even going to get into that. We're just going to talk about what happened and what needs to happen for each guy to get their W today. Well, not today, on Saturday. Take it away, Rob.
Okay, so this highly anticipated rematch between Triple G and Canelo is going to have a few changes. We recognize in the first fight that Golovkin was the one who brought the constant pressure, was attempting to walk down Canelo and land the big shots. He wanted Mexican-style fight. That is what he said up until the first fight. That's what he's been saying since the first fight. And going into the second, he wants Mexican-style fight. I'm here to tell you, you're not going to get a Mexican-style fight. In that fight, Canelo, who has learned a lot, and I think has taken quite a few pages out of the book of Mr. Floyd Mayweather, has become quite an effective counterpuncher, especially going backwards, fighting off the ropes, and we know that he has great hand speed and great pop in order to, as well as head movement to make Triple G miss throughout that fight. We know that Triple G threw the right hand constantly, but for whatever reason, it was very wide. He put everything behind it, and it gave Canelo quite a bit of time to move out of the way of that punch. And that's probably a signature punch outside of the jab of Triple G.
Yeah. And that was a really, for us, what we felt carried him to the victory. Because even though he was missing widely, like Rob was saying, he was very consistent with his jab the entire fight. Whereas Canelo was fighting in short bursts, but was landing judge-friendly punches. So, honestly, I think we're going to get a very similar fight. They just need to make a few adjustments for either guy to come out with the victory.
Now, before we get started, this fight was also supposed to happen quite a bit of time ago.
Back in May.
Because Mr. Alvarez was popped for PEDs, clenbuterol, right?
Yep.
Which he said came from contaminated meat in Mexico.
Happens a lot, unfortunately, but it's still a failed test.
And, of course, being a pro fighter in any sport, kickboxing, boxing, MMA, wrestling, I don't care. If you know your country has a history of contaminated meat, maybe you should probably order your meat.
Yeah, especially when you make the money Canelo makes. Like, come on, man. Like, you can get some special order stuff. You don't have to get the regular runner wherever he got his meat from. He doesn't have to get it. And then, he could have got some U.S. meat. He's right there. He's not like he's far away, like deep in Mexico where he's only privy to like certain meats. Anyway, whatever. Because then when you look deeper into it, he had passed several tests up to that point. Then he fails for like 2 days. And then he passes the rest of the tests. Which is pretty much points to, he ate some bad meat. But let the internet tell it, he has been cheating his entire life ever since he came out the womb. And y'all just get over that crap.
And not only that, but we've also seen a drastic change in his body composition, which plenty of people have noted. I'm going to leave it alone because plenty of people change their body type and how they train, especially in the rematch, to better serve them in the upcoming rematch. So, again, there's going to always be that doubt.
He is never going to live this down. Like, no matter what happens in this fight, if he loses, it was because he was a cheater. If he wins, it's because he was a cheater. For the rest of his career, and even after his retirement, because of those 2 days, he is now a lifelong cheat in the eyes of the internet, and that's just the cross he has to bear.
Okay, so now moving on from that, What has to happen in the rematch for each guy to come away with the victory? We're going to start off with Triple G.
All right, Triple G. Body work. Almost non-existent in the first fight. He has to be able to cut the ring off and go to Canelo's body. Doing that will probably give him a more decisive victory. Oh, let me stop this ring. So, back again. Triple G has to work the body, which I said was pretty much almost non-existent in the first fight. He also failed to cut the ring off, which is something we are very used to seeing him do. Those two things will probably be the majority of the adjustments he would need to make. Now, in order to make those adjustments, he does have to be wary of Canelo's counterpunching, which is probably one of the reasons why we didn't see a lot of that body work, because we saw Canelo with a lot of sustained combination counterpunching when Golovkin got him on the ropes and also in the center of the ring. It just wasn't that consistent, but it was always in the back of Triple G's mind. I might go for the body and catch 3 or 4 shots in return. So he has to use that jab like he did in the first fight to keep Canelo thinking about his returns as well, get his work to the body, and then back out so he doesn't have those volleys in return.
And we know that Canelo doesn't have super fast feet, so it's not like he's not going to be able to get to him around the ring. What he has to be able to do is keep Canelo from turning away from the power hand and making him miss. Another thing I think, again, I mentioned earlier, mentally, not to expect a Mexican-style fight. Canelo is not your typical Mexican boxer. He's more of a counterpuncher. He's more of a boxer.
And he's always been that way.
So you're not going to be fighting Angulo. You're not going to be fighting Margarito. You're not going to be fighting Brandon Rios.
You're not going to be fighting Salito.
Exactly. This is a guy who knows how to box, knows how to use the ring, but again, not the most athletic guy in the world, not the quickest feet. Footwork is much better than he has been years ago.
Right.
Which is why he was able to turn away from the power shot and duck under those power shots. So going away from the style, I want to have Mexican style fight, is not going to work to your favor. Do what you've normally done. Break your opponent down. And being Canelo, who has a great chin, who is willing to fire back when necessary, it's going to be an exciting fight anyway.
Right.
So, with that being said, let's move on to Canelo, who did a lot of things correct in the first fight. But unfortunately, because the pace was pushed beyond what he normally would want and can deal with, while he did have those sustained combination counterpunching, he really had to fight in the second, maybe the last 2 or 3 rounds, where at times he had to take the lead. He does not want to take the lead. Now, again, the change of body type, he looks a little bit smaller, which means he's going to go the speed route. He wants to get off first against Golovkin, which is normally pretty difficult because Golovkin does have a very educated and quick jab. So he throws it at an angle. It is very straight. It is very hard. Canelo has to watch out for that. What he has to do is beat him to the punch with his own jab.
Yes. Which he can, because his hands were remarkably faster than Golovkin's in the first fight.
And again, be quicker. Do not get trapped, because probably looking at cutting off the ring, putting him up against the ropes, maybe in the corner. So he has to keep the ropes off his back as much as he possibly can. Again, we know he's become more of a counterpuncher. He's taken a lot of those from Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather can fight off the ropes, but he doesn't exclusively fight off the ropes. At a certain point, he becomes the aggressor as the fight wears on.
Yeah, and basically, the fight was lost for Canelo in between rounds 4 and 9. So in those rounds, he has to be a lot more busy. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do that, because he still trains the same way that he's been training for, I'm assuming, his entire career. You see it even when he does the press workouts. They've been showing a lot of videos of both of these guys training up to the point of this fight, and he's still taking more breaks than you see most fighters take. You see most guys, they'll work for at least 3 minutes. You'll see Mayweather, he goes for even longer. The only time he really takes breaks is when he's switching his gloves to do certain, like hit the bag and then hit the mitts and things like that. With Canelo, he's throwing 2 or 3 combinations, then he's taking a little break. Throw 2, 3 combinations, take another break. Walk around, throw some hard shots, take a break. And fighting like that, when you're in there with somebody like Golovkin, is just not going to work. So that's why I say I kind of see the exact same fight happening, but I think this time Golovkin will probably pull out the decision unless Canelo can have a few more of those judge-friendly combination outbursts during the middle rounds. Because I say it was a good 4 or 5 rounds that went by where he did close to nothing. Mm-hmm. His defense was great. He wasn't really getting hit flush. Both guys took each other's power very well. But while Golovkin was throwing, and maybe he's not landing super clean, he's still landing. He's still working. He's still being aggressive. And when you're not having an edge in clean, effective shots, then that's what they're going to go with. They're going to go with the guy who's being aggressive. And that's why Golovkin won a majority of the middle rounds on the reasonable scorecards that were delivered that night.
So, at that point, make him pay for missing. Even if you're defensive, take the chances to make him pay. He's missing with the big shots, land your own big shot. Even if it's just the one, make sure the judges see it and make sure it lands. And we know Golovkin, I actually think he kind of tired a little bit. I think this is kind of a battle of conditioning. We know both Golovkin is normally well conditioned, but if you look at that last fight, he was a little bit worse for wear. I don't know if he was taking it seriously. It was the style he was trying to fight, because we saw a little bit of fatigue in the Brook fight. We saw a little bit of fatigue in the Jacobs fight. So we know you can create fatigue, especially if you're landing and making a miss.
Yeah, and it's just, I think that Golovkin's fatigue level his fatigue threshold is higher than Canelo's. And he recovers a lot quicker than Canelo does.
Which is why you have to take the chance at those points.
Yeah, I mean, even if he's just landing one hard counter to be like, I got you, and then get out of there. Like Golovkin throws 3 or 4 punches, all Canelo does is have to land one clean, hard shot to make the crowd go ooh, to make Golovkin's head move, and then he's out of there. And he's won that exchange because he landed the punch that everybody could see, whereas Golovkin's trying, he's missing, even though he's active, he's the one catching that hard counter shot. So if Canelo can do that consistently, he can come out with the decision.
Right.
So all that's left now is to find out who makes those adjustments in order to come out the victor. And so we're looking at a very good fight this Saturday. So that's it from us. If you have any thoughts on how you think the fight's going to go, hit us up in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe so you catch our recap. Hit us up on social media, all platforms, Capital Combat. We're not on Snap. No,
we're not on Snapchat.
We're adults. Anyway, if you have any other questions, hit us up as well. We put you in the combat mailbag. And like I said, we'll see you in the recap. Until then, fight on.
This is round 1 and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane, I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.